Hello aspirants, welcome back to our channel FoodTech Online. So in this video, we'll be analyzing the further previous year questions of ICAR-PG Food Science and Technology 2024. So let us begin. Question number 81. The pressure drop by a fan is directly proportional to the dash of the fan speed. So in this law, actually it states that the flow rate will be proportional to the speed. Pressure is proportional to the speed square, and power proportional to speed's cube. So over here, the correct option will be option number D, that is square. Pressure drop, it is equal to fan's speed square. Question 82. Dash is defined as the ability or a system to respond to a true value of a measured variable under reference condition. First one is precision. So precision, basically it is the closeness of repeated measurements to each other. Accuracy, it's the closeness of measured value to its true value. So option B will be the correct option. And it is defined under the reference condition. Repeatability, so it is same result under same condition. And reproducibility is same result but under different conditions. So accuracy is for the closeness to the true value and precision is closeness among the readings. So correct option is B. Question 83. Dash is the example of evaporative refrigeration. So evaporative refrigeration basically means cooling by evaporation of water and no compressor or the refrigerant cycle is there. So first one, that is household refrigeration. But in household refrigeration, we will use vapor compression cycle. Desert bags. So in desert bags, it works on evaporative cooling, but it's not a machine. It's a traditional method. Air conditioner. So air conditioner, they will use refrigeration cycle or compressor based. Water cooler. So water cooler, basically it uses evaporative cooling, that means air plus water evaporation, and it is a common example for evaporative refrigeration. Correct option is option number D. So for evaporative cooling, water evaporation, then cooling, example, we can say desert coolers. Question 84. The part of vapor compression refrigeration in which the vapor refrigeration changes to liquid is called as, first one, compressor. So compressor vapor, basically it increases the pressure and temperature, so no phase change to the liquid. Throttling value, so it basically reduces the pressure of the liquid refrigerant. So in this, no condensation will take place. Evaporator, so liquid to vapor, means it will absorb the heat. So it's an opposite process. Whereas the condenser, so it is a vapor to liquid process, means it is releasing the heat to the surrounding. So correct option should be option number D, that is condenser. Means condensers, they're like vapor condenses into liquid. So heat is rejecting at this stage. Question 85. The refrigeration system works by dash law of the thermodynamics. So a refrigeration system, it operates based on the second law of thermodynamics. So what does it states? It states that heat cannot flow from a cooler body to the hotter body. So heat cannot flow on its own. Now external work is required to make this happen. And in refrigeration, basically, heat is removed from the lower temperature region that is inside the fridge, and it is rejected to the higher temperature regions that is surrounding. So this requires a work input, and what is that? That is compressor. Whereas the zeroth law, we know zeroth law, it is related to temperature equilibrium. First law, it is related to energy conservation. And Newton's Riemann law. So it is heat transfer rate, not a refrigeration principle. So correct option is option number C. Question 86. The dash are the device in which hot and cold fluid alternatively flow over the surface. So it is regenerator. So regenerator, basically they are the type of heat generators in which the hot and cold fluids, they will not flow simultaneously, whereas they will alternatively pass over the same surface. Means the surface, it will store heat from the hot fluid, and then later it will transfer it to the cold fluid. So there's an alternate flow over the same surface, that is regenerator. Whereas option number B, that is recuperators. So basically in this, the fluid flows simultaneously on the opposite sides of the wall. Economizer, so we know that it will preheat the feed water using the flue gas, so no alternating flow is there. And mixed type, so this is not a standard one. So correct option is option number A. Question 87. Dash is having the highest thermal conductivity. So among the given materials, silver is having the highest thermal conductivity, that is 430 watt per meter Kelvin. Copper, it is 400. Mild steel is around 50. And asbestos, so it's an insulator. So best conductor of heat among the following material is silver. Question 88. In a throttling process, dash remains constant. So first one is temperature. So temperature, they may increase or decrease. Pressure, it can drop significantly. Entropy, it basically it increases. Whereas enthalpy, it remains constant. That is why throttling process, the key property that remains constant is enthalpy, and it is an isenthalpic process. That means H1 is equal to H2. Question 89. Which of the following is a water tube boiler? So it is Babcock and Wilcox boiler. So basically it is a water tube boiler where water flows inside the tube and hot gas, it flows outside the tube. Whereas this Lancashire boiler, so it's a fire tube boiler. Locomotive boiler, it is also a fire tube boiler. And Cochrane boiler, so it is also a fire tube boiler. So correct option will be option number C. Question 90. The driving force for heat transfer is, so it is temperature difference. We know that heat always flows from higher temperature region to the lower temperature region, means greater the temperature difference, faster there will be the heat transfer. And it is based on the modes of heat transfer. For example, conduction. This For convection, we know it depends on temperature difference between the surface and the liquid. Radiation, it depends on temperature difference in terms of T to the power 4. Whereas energy difference, pressure, it is basically related to fluid flow, and velocity difference, it affects the convection rate but not the driving force. So correct option will be heat transfer occurs due to temperature difference. Question 91. The dash is used to measure the volume of hygroscopic material. First is benzene. So benzene, it is less preferred because of its toxicity. And volatility. Toluene, so it is the correct option over here because it is used to measure the volume of the hygroscopic material. Because it is immiscible with water. So it will give the correct volume measurement. Distilled water and tap water, they are absorbed by this hygroscopic material. So the most correct option is option number B, that is toluene. Because for hygroscopic material, we'll use a liquid that is non-reactive as well as it is non-absorbable. Question number 92. The equipment which expresses the energy balance of fluid flow is, so it is Bernoulli's equation. So it represents conservation of mechanical energy in flowing fluid. So it includes pressure energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy. So it is P by rho g square by 2g plus z. So this is constant. Whereas continuity equation, so it is for mass conservation. Fourier's equation, it is for heat conduction. And Planck's equation is for quantum. So for energy balance in fluid flow, it is Bernoulli's equation. Question 93. Given below are the two statements and we have to choose the most appropriate answer from the options given below. So first one is screw conveyor is generally used to move grain horizontally. So this is true because the screw conveyor, it is commonly used to move the grains horizontally. Next is screw conveyor can also move grain up to an angle of 45 degree. So this is also true because the screw conveyors can incline and transport materials up to 45 degree. So these screw conveyors are versatile. Means it can be horizontally conveying as well as inclined conveying up to 45%. So over here both the statements are correct. Question 94. The ability of a screen in separating the feed into flow, overflow and underflow according to its size is called as. So it is termed as screen effectiveness. Option number D. So it is actually the ability of a screen to correctly separate the particles into overflow, that is coarse particle, underflow, that means fine particles, and based on their size. Overflow is not standard term. Cleanliness, it refers to purity. Cleaning efficiency, it's used for washing and cleaning operations. So correct option is option number D. Question 95. Specific heat is the ratio of. So specific heat, basically it is defined as the amount of heat which is required to raise the temperature of unit mass of a substance by 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin, we can say. So over here, the question is actually referring to relative specific heat, which is ratio of the heat capacity of a substance to that of the water. So correct option is option number A, that is heat capacity of a substance to that of the water. Whereas option number B, heat capacity of water to that of the substance. So this has been opposite, inverse. Thermal conductivity of substance to that of the water. So it talks about thermal conductivity and thermal potential of a substance to that of water. So it's not correct. So correct option is specific heat, that is relative substance by water. Option number A will be correct option. Question 96. The correct sequence of following materials with the increased thermal conductivity is. So from low to high we have to see. So first will be wood because it is a very poor conductor. So option C, it gets cancelled. Next, steel. So this is a moderate one, after which brass is more better than that, and aluminium is the it is having very high thermal conductivity. So correct trend should be option number B, that is wood, steel, brass, and then aluminium. Option B is correct option. Question 97. Which method of size reduction is applicable to hammer mill? So a hammer mill, basically it works on the principle of impact force. Means high speed rotating hammers, it will strike the material and then the particles will break due to sudden impact collisions, and some minor attrition may also occur, but impact, it is the dominant one. Cutting, it is like using knife cutters for milling. Shearing, it is like used in slicers. Crushing, it for example jaw crushers are there. Or roll crushers. So correct option is option number A, that is impact force. Question 98. Double cone mixers are used for. So double cone mixers are generally used for mixing dry powders and granules. So it works by tumbling action. Means it will ensure uniform mixing without high shear, and it is common in pharmaceuticals, in foods, in chemical industries. Whereas liquid, so it requires agitators. For mixing doughs and pastes, so it needs kneaders. Semi-liquid, it means it requires paddle, or we can say agitator also. So correct option will be option number B, that is powder. for double cone mixing. Question number 99. Which of the following cannot be prepared by extruders? So, expanded snacks, it can be pet foods, pasta or any pest products. So, correct option will be option number C, that is cornflakes. So, cornflakes, how are they basically formed? First, cooking process, then rolling, flaking, and then toasting. So this is the correct process for cornflakes. So this is a flake forming process, not a extrusion process. So for extruder, we'll get shapes, puff, pellets, nibbles. But for flakes, we'll need rollers, not the extruders. Question 11. Indented cylinder separates the grain on the basis of. So an indented cylinder, it separates the grain based on the length of the grain. Means short grains, they will get fit into that indented pockets and they are lifted up. Whereas the long grains, they do not get fit and they will remain outside. Whereas weight, so it is used in gravity separator. Size, used in sieves. Or we can say screens. Surface texture, for friction separators. So correct option is option number D. So with this, we have completed our discussion on the previous year question of 2024. So hope you liked this session. Till then, thank you and enjoy learning.